The Vezina Trophy Race is all about who I would argue is the most valuable player on an NHL team, the goalie. As we all know, in the regular season and especially in the playoffs, the goalie is the most important piece of your team. When they're doing well, your team's doing well. If they're doing poor, well, your team's probably also doing pretty poor. Whether it's them coming up with crucial saves, them helping in the shootout to close out the game, them preventing a rebound, or vice versa. If they're having a bad saving night and they're letting in silly goals, it really changes the whole dynamic of the game. When your goalie's preventing shots from going in, your team doesn't need to score as many. Simple. When your goalie's letting a lot of shots in, your team has to put a lot more shots in. Not as simple. So that's what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about the key candidates. I have four that I would argue are in candidacy for the Vezina this year. So the Vezina is the most valuable goalie, the best playing goalie throughout the year, and it's arguably the hardest trophy to grade for because of all the different variables that you have. Your goalie could be doing very well on a bad team, so they're going to look worse because their win record, their goals against average might be bad because they're seeing a lot more shots, even though they have a good save percentage. Their goals against average might be low, but their save percentage is bad because they're not seeing as many shots. There's so many different reasons. I don't know what just fell for what could be considered the best goalie in the league. So we're going to go and get into it. I have four players. We're going to go over their stats. We're going to go over their team stats because it's really important. And then I got a little description of them. Not a description. Just when I watch their game, what I think about them, because I've actually watched a pretty good amount of footage of each of these players. And one of them I watched just last night, and we'll talk about him in 1 second. As you know, if you have watched my previous videos, or as you see behind me, I'm a Vegas fan. Last night there was a very fun to watch game for Vegas, but we'll talk about that here in a second here. So if this is your first time tuning in, my name is John. This is the Sports Advocate. Give me a like, give me a dislike. Go and subscribe. I have content pretty much not identical to this, but exactly like this, same formats, all that stuff coming out daily at this point. Sometimes I miss a day, like I had no power the other day, so I missed a day. Go ahead and comment down below not only some criticisms from me because it really helps the channel, but also who you think deserves the Vezina. So with that being said, let's just go ahead and get right into this. We're going to start with, in no particular order at the end here, I will talk about who my favorite to win it is, but we're going to start with Igor Shasturkin of the New York Rangers. I say this every single time. If I mess up a name, I'm sorry. There's just so many different players from different countries in this league, and you can Google it on Google how to pronounce a name, and it can still be wrong when you say it because you can't just get it out. So I believe it's Igor Shasturkin. Might be wrong. He has 2.09 goals against average. That is second in the league. And I will say something. This year has been a really high goals per game. So compared to last year, you can't really grade Vezina Trophy winners compared to previous years just because how much the league changes. This year's goals per game has just been crazy. So this a 2.09 being second in the whole league this year compared to some previous years just seems really, really high. And maybe you're thinking the goalie talent might not be that good. The goalie talent is still immensely great right now. It's just the way the game's played is much, much different. The amount of talent, the weird, obscure shots, and it's just much different. You cannot compare Vezinas from previous years to each other. It's just, you shouldn't do that. But nonetheless, he also has a .934 save percentage, which is first in the entire league, which is very, very good. He has 34 wins. That puts him at fifth among goalies, and he has 4 shutouts, which is tied for fourth. And 34 wins is tied for fifth. There's a lot of these wins and shutouts are going to be a lot of ties, but A 2.09 goals against and a 9.34 save percentage is super good, not only being second and first among those categories, but just overall, if you're having a goalie playing like that in the playoffs, your team's probably making a huge push for the Stanley Cup Finals. And if he can continue that into the playoffs, and most of the time in the playoffs, you choose one goalie, you stick with that goalie throughout the whole thing. And if Igor plays like this the whole time, the Rangers are going to be very good, and it could be a worry as long as he can continue that. His player record, sorry about that. His player record is 34, 11, and 4. So when he is the starting goalie, he is pretty much winning 3 times the amount of times that the team loses. So 34, 11, and 4. Team record is 48, 21, and 6. That puts their team at 5th in the entire league. So the team is very good, and it is definitely a huge part due to Igor himself. I mean, they've won 14 games when he is not the starter in net, and they've lost 10 games when he is not starter in net, along with 2 overtime losses. So their win-loss, I mean, his win-loss is almost a 3-1, nearly. Their win-loss is pretty close to 1-1 record. So you can clearly see how important this guy is to that team. And I'm going to talk about that specific, how important they are to the team with each person. But Igor's capabilities when he's in net versus when he is not in net for that team, this team looks way, way different, and that's a big thing. So my quick little notes for Igor is he's 6'1". I'm going to say their height. The weight's not a big thing. You don't really worry about that, but he's 6'1". He is about average, maybe a little bit on the smaller size for goalies. It seems like goalies are getting bigger as we go on. I think the biggest right now is like 6'7" or something. And I know Robin Lehner's 6'6", and he's one of the biggest ones. So the goalies, being 6'1", he's a little bit smaller, and that's exactly what he uses to his advantage. So being smaller, he's very quick. Like, he's extremely quick. Sorry. He's very, very quick getting anywhere, like from one side of the net to the other side of the net. He's quick. His reaction time's fairly quick. And I'd say his biggest key for him, his best part, and this is opinion, this is subjective opinion and all that stuff. In my opinion, his best asset is his low save. Not like low blocker save or low stick save, just his low pad save. He is always sliding across, blocking some crazy splits. He's always fully split. Like there's butterfly, and then there's just like, he's like flat like this. I don't know how he does it. But he's always getting like, I don't know what's in my throat right now. Always has low saves. He's super quick, and he's very fun to watch. He's enjoyable to watch, and the amount of times that there will be a shot, he'll block it, and there'll be a rebound, and you're like, that has to go in, and he'll slide across, go full split, pretty much fall face forward, and block it with the opposite foot, opposite pad. It's crazy. It's almost like every single game he's doing some crazy split save with that low pad. It's so fun to watch, and he definitely is the biggest. I mean, all these goalies are the biggest piece of their team, but he brings something to this team like no other person on this list, in my opinion, brings. But we'll talk about who I think should win at the end. And next up, we have Jacob Markstrom of the Flames, who Vegas just beat 6-1 last night. That felt very good for me. Markstrom led in 4 goals. He was 7-11. He had a 7.5 save percentage. Not a great game. Vegas was playing crazy, but that's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm very excited about that, but that's not what I'm here to talk about. It did bring down some of his numbers. I wrote all of these numbers about 4 days ago when I was planning all these videos. And I rechecked all of the statistics to make sure they were still right. And his numbers actually changed quite a decent amount from before to now with that game. He's a 2.24 goals against average. That puts him at 3rd in the league, still very good. But, I mean, look at the difference. 3rd in the league, a 2.24, versus a 209 is second. That's a huge, huge gap from second to third. He has a 922 save percentage that puts him at sixth. 34 wins puts him tied for, I think that's fourth or fifth, the same number as Igor. Again, you got to remember they're not starting every single game. And he has 9 shutouts, which is first in the entire league. 9 shutouts is crazy. So he's 34, 14, and 8 is his overall record. If we put that together, that's 48, 56 games with 9 shutouts in 56 games. That's wild. I don't want to do the math because I will brutally mess it up, but that's probably close to a 2, like a 20%, a point, yeah, somewhere around there, 15, 20%. Very, very good. That is probably terrible, terrible math. I'm doing it very quickly. I'm not going to go grab a calculator and do all this stuff, but if that's bad math, I'm sorry. I did do very good in math, I will say that, but it's been a long while since I've had to use math quickly on the spot. 9 shutouts, nonetheless, no matter what the percentage of per games, 9 shutouts is phenomenal, phenomenal work. I mean, like, a fourth of his wins are shutouts. That's crazy to think about just in general. As a goalie, to be able to shut out a team consistently that much is a huge, huge asset. I mean, you look, 4 shutouts is fourth. He's in first with 9. He's doubling them. With only 3 spot gap, he's completely doubled them, and then some. That's just crazy to think about. Like I said, he's 34, 14, and 8 when he is in net. They're 45, 20, and 9 as a team. Puts them at 6th overall. They're 11, 6, and 1 when he is not playing. So the team is at 11, 6, and 1. If we put that together, you're 11, 7 theoretically. So you're winning double the amount that you're losing when he's not in net. Now, what does that have to do with? Is he not playing? Or do they have a different goalie in net when it's not as good game? Is the team playing better because they know they don't have such good talent? There's a lot of variables to go into that. But at 34, 14, and 8, so 34 and 22, he's not quite double his wins to losses. But the team is nearly double their wins to losses. So does that affect his importance to the team a little bit when you're looking at the Vezina, even though he's 3rd in goals against and 6th in save percentage? Well, maybe a little bit. That's what we'll talk about here in a second. So for his my opinions on him, he's a very simple player. Maybe like tactical is how I judge it. I feel like his movements are very, very planned. He sees a pass go across. He expects where it's going to go, and he gets his hand there early. That's one thing. His glove save, he's always getting really good glove saves, crazy glove saves. He's always clamping down on that puck. It's very fun to watch. That I enjoy a good glove save. That's why I'm a huge fan of Fleury. But glove saves are so enjoyable for me to watch, and I think that's where most highlights come from of goalies outside of the split save. He's very good with the glove, but he's very tactical. I feel like even after a rebound, it's like he already knows where the puck's going to go. Like he's reading their mind. Like he takes a very quick, sudden movement, but when he gets there, he's firm and he's not moving once he's at that spot. And somehow they end up just shooting it where he's at already. And it's the amount of work that must take mentally, but also like the amount of time he's put into it to just expect where it's going to go and be very confident in his movement that's super good. He's 6'6". He's one of the bigger goalies, which might be a reason why he is able to not have to move so suddenly, constantly, and he's able to just move to a spot and set there because he's bigger and he knows he covers more of the net. But nonetheless, his ability to just cover the net and do it in one fluid motion, it's very, very interesting. There's not a lot of goalies that do that. Even some of these bigger goalies look kind of like unconfident in that, and they're kind of moving and shaking and stuff. And these small goalies obviously have to be very quick, but he plays a very different kind of game. He makes one fluid, quick movement, and then he's there. And then after a shot happens, he moves to his next spot, and he's there, and he will just, once he's found a spot, once he's posted up in a spot, he will find a way to make a save from that position instead of throwing his whole body over. He will just throw his arm or his leg, but he won't move his entire body to get there, and that's a talent that a lot of goalies struggle with. Next up, we have Frederick Anderson of the Carolina Hurricanes. He's a .207 goal against average, which is first in the league. So let's look at something real quick. 2.07 is first, 2.09 is second, and a 2.24 is third. The first and second are so close. Like one bad game and you might flip that. Like those two could switch. One really bad game and one like shutout, and those two could flip. But second and third is such a big gap, and I just really want to point that out, how good the talent still is in this league. He's a .926 save percentage, so he is tied for second in the league among save percentage. He has 35 wins, which is tied for second, and he's 4 shutouts, which is tied for fourth. He's a lot of ties, but he's tied within the top 5 of all like the major categorical statistics for a goalie. He is 35, 13, and 3 for a player record. So 35 and 16. So he's double the win-loss, which is very good. The team is 48, 19, and 8 overall, which puts them third overall. They are 13, 6, and 5 without him. So 13 and 11. So they're like a 1-to-1. He's 2-to-1. The team is a 1-to-1 when he's not playing. So again, very, very important when he's playing. The team looks dramatically different. For my things that I wrote about him, he's 6'4", so he's like in the middle. He's on the bigger side, but he plays in an odd way to me. First things first, I'm sure everyone did if you're a hockey fan, his highlight against the Rangers, his stick handling that he was like jokingly doing when he was getting pulled on a delayed penalty, that was very funny to watch. He was like stick handling, then he passed it back. That was very fun to watch. I thought that was very funny. I tweeted on that on the NHL, add that to the highlight reel. I wish that there wasn't the rule where a goalie couldn't carry it past the halfway point, because I think it would have been fun to have him keep carrying it and maybe just like sarcastically throw up a shot. I don't know. I think that would have been funny to watch. You never do that, but I wish he would have been able to like go a little bit farther, because it was kind of funny to look at with him, a big goalie, full padding, just doing stick work with the puck mid-game. It was fun to watch. And I think that's like the second time in the Rangers facility, in the Rangers stadium, that a goalie's done that when they're leaving, and that's just kind of funny to think about. I just had to point that out. He's very good side to side. Like if a puck's here and he watches the pass go like this, he's quickly over side to side and he's ready for the shot right away. And same way this way. I wouldn't say he has any big weaknesses, but he's very fluid, moving side to side of his crease, of his net, all that. And he's not very far out, but I feel like every time I'm watching him, especially if I'm watching his highlights, he's always on the very edge of his goalie mouth, of the blue circle. He's always on the very edge. And some like to play out there, some like to play really far out there, some like to play literally right between the posts and not like move at all. It's obviously preference, but I feel like he's always out there and he makes it work because of his quick side-to-side use of mobility and all that stuff. He can be too far out there. There can be that quick pass and he'll still get down and over. He'll still rotate his hips and slide over to his spot. And that's super useful, and that's why he's able to be farther out of his net mouth of his crease. I'm not sure what it's called. I think the crease is like 6x8, so he wouldn't be at the edge of his crease, but he's able to be farther out of his net mouth because how quickly he can switch and slide down to that post. And that's a big talent that not as many bigger goalies have. I mean, he's not super quick. He's still very quick, but he's very fast, fluent, side to side. And there's plenty of goalies his side or a little bit bigger that just get stuck in one spot. And if they move, they just get way out of position because they overplay it, because they don't realize how much talent it takes to get directly to the exact spot you need to be side to side every time. Some players just go way too far. Some players don't go far enough and it goes right past them. But he is consistently going from, I'm in this spot, I need to be here, and he gets right there. Not too far, not too less. He does a great job at doing that. Lastly, our last goalie, and quick honorable mention, Vasilevsky, honorable mention. I don't think he's really in the Vezina trophy conversation. He's just outside, and for me, he's just outside. I didn't think it was worth mentioning him here, but he's top 5, top 10 in most categories statistically for goalies. Honorable mention for him. But my last guy I put there is Jose Soros. I hope I said that name correct. Of the Nashville Predators. He had, sorry if I'm looking down, I write everything on a whiteboard. I thought about switching to my phone, but I feel like holding two things limits my character, my personality, which is something that I think hockey needs more of, by the way. I've commented that a million times. If you follow me on Twitter, which you should, capital T, capital S, sports, capital A, and advocate. So T, sports advocate, with a capital T, S, and A. You should go follow me. I'm always commenting, always tweeting. I will respond back to anyone that messages me. And that goes, if you comment down below, I will respond to you if it pops up, because there's been a few that just don't pop up in my feed. But like I was saying, I feel like if I hold a phone, it's going to limit my personality coming out. Like when I'm talking about how quick a player moves, if I got to hold two and I'm going like this, I feel like I'm limiting myself, but like I can do a goalie animation of like glove save or blocking on the blocker side and things of that nature. I guess this would be stick side for most goalies. But I feel like if I was holding something, it would limit me. I'm going on a rant here. But I do like my whiteboard kind of setup. I need to make a better version of it. Maybe I can find a way to put it on this TV, like in big text, and move the computer here so I can look at the camera and look slightly above it. I think that might not be as noticeable, but I like my setup here. So if I look down, I'm looking at a stat. I'm not going to bend over like this, but like if I'm glancing down like this and then look back up, I'm looking at a stat because I want to make sure I get the stat correct. So when I'm going on rants about what I think about a player, that's one thing. But when I'm talking statistics, when I'm thinking goals against average, things like that, I want to be exact because that is important. Not only how a player plays and how they look when they are playing, but also statistics. You got to use both. You can't choose one because it takes a lot out of your ability to talk about important things and all that stuff. Okay, Jose Soros of the Nashville Predators at 2.53 goals against average. That is tied for 11th in the league. I did have to put him here, but you'll see why in a second. He has a .921 save percentage, which is 7th, but he has 36 wins. He is first in goalies for wins with 36. He is 4th in shutouts, tied for 4th, obviously. He's 36, 23, and 3 player record. So 36 and 26. So he's not double, but he's close to like a 1.5-ish. The team is 42, 27, and 5, which puts them at 14th. So the team is 6. Oh my gosh, math is tough right now for no apparent reason. He's 6. The team is 6-4-2, so 6-6. So they're 1-1 when he's not playing. And that's why I put him here, because he's really important for the team. The team does so much better when he is in that. And he's fun to watch. Why is he fun to watch? Because he's small, he's quick, he's 5'11", he's very, very quick. His reaction time is insane, I feel like. Every time I watch him, he throws his full body at pucks. Like, literally his full. He will get here quick. And I mean quick. He'll knock it down, glove, blocker, whatever, and it will somehow slide over to this side. And instead of like him sliding just like this, do a split and get this leg out, and then like this, or just like a stick side, he loads all of his weight on this back leg and just pushes and literally flies like this with his stick out and everything to block a puck. And he's enjoyable to watch, and he's a huge reason why the Predators are able to be good. If he's not on the team, this team's not in playoff talks at all, I don't believe. He puts everything out there for his team. He throws his whole body at pucks, and it's very fun to watch. But a thing with that being said, him throwing his whole body is, and I don't know how he does it. I don't know how to explain it. It's like almost like he's anxious in net. Is that a good way to describe it? That's how I'll describe it. He's almost anxious in net. Like when I watch him, if it's 1-on-1, 2-on-1, 1-on-0, which the second number, if it's a 1-on-1 or 3-on-2 or whatever, means players in your team that aren't the goalie. So if it's like a 2-on-0, it means two of them on your goalie. But nonetheless, when he's in transition, when the puck's getting moved from side to side, whether he makes a quick move across or is throwing his full body for a save, he's always doing this. I feel like I'm shaking the camera. I feel like he's always shaking at all times, which most goalies don't do that. But maybe it's because how small he is and he knows he has to be very quick and react right away. But he is always just shaking like this. And sometimes it's a little bit more, sometimes it's a little bit less. But I don't know if he's like literally anxious, but that's what he looks like when he's in net. And the fact that he looks anxious, like imagine skating up ice and you don't know who this goalie is. Say you're playing beer league or whatever, and you're coming up ice on a shootout on whatever, on a transition, and you look at the goalie and he's just shaking like this. You're very confident you're probably going to make it, right? You're like, oh, I'm going to fake this guy and then come back this way and tuck it one-handed or whatever beside him. And you could not do that against Jose if you randomly saw him, which you wouldn't because you recognize him. But he looks almost anxious-like, and maybe that's a terrible description, but he's just like this, and then he's just here, and maybe you think you got him, and then all of a sudden, just full body, just diving across, leg, arm, stick, glove pad, head, whole body is just over there and just blocks your shot. The amount of times that when you're watching him, when you're watching his highlights, that you see that smile on the attacking player's face just disappear after he does that is just crazy to think about. Okay, I need to stop ranting. He's fun to watch. He's so fun to watch. He deserves to be in the top 5, top 4, I think, at least top 10. He definitely deserves it. I think he's pretty high in his odds to make the Vezina. I don't think he wins it. It's time to talk about who I think wins it. It's very good talent. Out of these 4, I think Jose is the bottom, but I think he's my favorite to watch just because how aggressively his reactions are. So we have Jacob Markstrom, Igor Shasturkin, and Frederick Anderson as my top 3. Should I rank them in order 1, 2, 3? Yeah, I think I will. Jacob Markstrom goes 3rd. He's 3rd. He deserves to be in the conversation 100%. He's played very, very well, but his statistics just don't compare as well. I mean, yes, he's 3rd in goals against. He's 6th in save percentage. He's 6th in, I guess he's tied for what? 3rd Third or fourth, he's tied for wins, and he's tied for fourth in. Oh, sorry. He is first in shutouts. So everything but shutouts, he is below Igor and Frederick. But he definitely deserves to be here because he definitely just makes his team a million times better. He deserves to be here, but I think he's third. So now it's Igor and Frederick of the Rangers and Hurricanes, respectively. So let's go over stats real quick. Igor is going to be the first number I name. Frederick's going to be the second number. We're going to go goals against, Igor, Frederick, save, Igor, Frederick, wins, shutouts. You understand. 2.09 goals against for Igor, 2.07 goals against for Frederick. So a 0.02 difference, not a huge difference. You're not worrying about that. And you'd have to compare whose team is a little bit better and things of that nature. Okay, 934 save percentage for, is that right? Yeah, it is. 934 save percentage for Igor, 926 save percentage for Frederick. That's first and tied for second. 34 wins for Igor, 35 wins for Frederick. That is tied for third and tied for second. They both have 4 shutouts, so tied for fourth. That's null and void. That doesn't matter. So second, first, second, third, second. Okay. So they're pretty much neck and neck, and they are neck and neck. You could choose whichever one you want to win, and I wouldn't make a difference. Okay, let's look at records. 34, 11, and 4 for Igor. 35, 13, and 3 for Frederick. So 34 and 15 for Igor. 35 and 16. So one more win for Frederick. One more loss for Frederick. Is that right? Yeah, that looks right. I hope so. Again, they're neck and neck. They're about 3-1, 2-1 each for their win record. So I think what it comes down to is how good. No, not what it comes down to, but I think an important key is they both clearly play great in net. But to compare team-wise, like how important are they? Are they playing good because of their team or why? I want to compare the team record when they're not playing. So the Rangers are 48, 21, and 6. The Hurricanes are 48, 19, and 8. Okay, so they both have the same number of wins. Their win-losses are slightly different and all that. So I'm going to combine overtime losses and regulation losses for this statistic because overtime losses are still a loss, and the only reason why they're separate is because of that one extra point towards the playoffs, which is important in playoff terms, but not really so much in goalie terms, at least in my opinion. So we're looking at 48 and 27 for the Rangers and 48 and 27 for the Hurricanes. So identical records, technically speaking, for these two teams. Now, how well are they doing without? So 34 and 15, we got to take that out of 48. So 14 and 24. Oh my God, English. 14 and 12. So they're right at slightly above a 1-to-1. 14 and 12. I wish I had a marker right next to me so I could write that. 14 and 12. Now we go 35 and 48. So now 13 and 16 minus, what was my number? 27. 16 minus 27, 11. Okay. Again, pretty much the same. So that was the key. I ranted so long on that part. But my point is, you could choose either one of these and you could not be upset. Okay, so now you look, team record, the Hurricanes are third in the league, the Rangers are fifth in the league, and that's because of those overtime losses, the extra point, all that stuff. So now it's time for me to make a decision. What who's the better goalie? And really looking at this, it's just so tough. And I'm going to be honest, I think Igor right now, odds-wise, is better for, like, betting. But I'm choosing Frederick. Personally, I'm choosing Frederick. Okay, why? Should I? Well, his goals against average is .02 difference. His save percentage is quite a bit difference with .008% difference. But is that a big difference? Yes and no. Yes and no. Okay. So that means Igor's getting a little more shots than Frederick is. Frederick has one more win than Igor. They have the same number of shutouts. The team record is pretty much identical. Dude, honestly, it's so tough to like give a really, really good reason on why, and that's why I'm saying you could choose whatever. But I'm choosing Frederick, probably just because his team overall is better, and I think, gosh, I'm choosing Frederick. I'm sticking with Frederick. Go ahead and comment down below if you disagree, because I literally let me put this how simple it is for me. When I was writing out statistics, I preferred Igor. When I was watching highlights, I preferred Frederick. When I was making my thumbnail and thinking about how I was going to present this, I was choosing Igor. And now, when I am making the video, I'm choosing Frederick. So I've literally been back and forth this whole time. I'm choosing Frederick. I'm sticking with that right now. Tomorrow, if you come back to me, I might say Igor. But nonetheless, these guys are so close. So the Vezina Trophy Race is so close. The goalies in this league are so good. And that's the video. I'm not going to rant too long. This last like 12 minutes was a rant. If you stuck through this, I really appreciate it. And you must like my content, so you might as well subscribe, because that was a big rant at the end. And if you stuck through that, then come on. Be nice, right? Okay? So, my name is John. This is the Sports Advocate. That was a bad mumble jumble. This is the Sports Advocate. Give me a like. Give me a dislike. It really does help me, just not only for the algorithm, but it does give me some form of information. If I'm getting more likes, that's promoting me to do more content like this, things like that. Give me some criticisms down below what I can do to improve, because I really want to improve for you guys very early on. I've like a month into this, but it's something I really enjoy, and I put a lot of hours into this already, but I enjoy it so much. I have not once regretted making a video. Give me some comments who you think should win the Vezina, in your opinion, who you think will win it based on the voters' opinions, and maybe who your favorite to watch is out of these people. So comment that down below. Give me subscribe. I'm probably going to put the playlist next to me of the entire NHL Trophy Race, because I'm going to have, I had the Calder race, the Rookie of the Year race yesterday. I have the Vezina today. And either tomorrow or the next day, depending, because the play-in finishes tonight, I might do a play-in video or playoff predictions video tomorrow. But I'm going to have the MVP or the Hart Memorial Trophy for this coming up soon. So I'll have that playlist popping up. Have my subscribe button. Like I said, really appreciate it. Everything is noticed. But yeah, let's go ahead and cut to the outro. I hope that I taught you something. I hope it made you smile. I hope I made you laugh. That's something that is really important to me in affecting someone else's day for the better. And lastly, as always, you guys all be safe out there.